What? What the fuck? Well, episode 4 is, something alright. It's me, Amanda. You might know me as Vamp, and we're here to talk about Marvel What If Season 3, Episode 4. What if Howard the Duck got hitched? To apparently Darcy Lewis? Why is that? I should have known from the previews. I should have known from the trailer that this is where we're going. We obviously saw them together, and then when I wasn't looking closely enough at the list of episodes, and I don't know how I didn't piece these things together before, and yet here we are. All right, obviously spoilers ahead, although, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of people that might be skipping this episode for reasons, so you might not be too concerned with that, but spoilers are in effect for those of you that are. Now, as I said before this episode came out, this actually was an episode I was looking forward to. Why was I looking forward to it? Well, one, Darcy Lewis is one of my favorite characters from the MCU. I love Kat Dennings, and Howard the Duck has been really fun when we've seen him in the MCU. Obviously, I know the Howard the Duck 80s movie, which there are reasons why I think they did this and they thought it was okay, and that I think is connected to the movie, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing that I was excited for with Howard the Duck in this, in terms of the MCU, is Howard the Duck is obviously voiced by Seth Green, and so I was excited for Seth Green and Kat Dennings to be doing some voice work together. I thought that'd be really fun, and I was not disappointed on that part. It was really fun. I did like their voice work together, and I do think there are some fun takeaways from this episode, surprisingly, if you can get past the first scene here, which is pretty jarring, I'd say, and I think a lot of people are going to be taking this in as in an interesting way, let's just say. I don't want to know what kind of fan art might be spawned from this episode. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. But that being said, I think it is important for us to remember, now I'm not defending this, I just want you guys to know, I'm just giving added context, that Howard the Duck, I believe, is an alien, so I don't know, do with that what you will. Does it make it any less weird? No, but it is something to be considered. Howard the Duck, while resembling a duck, is not a literal duck from Earth, obviously. He can speak, and yeah, so that's Howard for you. Now, on the other side of it, why did we have to do this to poor Darcy? That's my question. Oh, why did this have to happen to Darcy? Poor Darcy. I feel kind of bad for this character. And yet at the same time, there are a lot of really fun elements of Darcy and Howard kind of playing off each other. I like that the whole idea that they're together is just they met at a party that Thor threw, which also increased like the alien human relations just across the world. Like, that's how big of a rager it was. That would have also been kind of cooler to examine as well. I guess we do examine it a little bit with the fact that, you know, Loki wants to open this resort. We have Frost Giant Loki in this, who is gonna open a resort for people to come and travel to and go skiing and stuff. It's like a lodge. That, even to me, to be honest with you, seemed like it could be a fun what if episode. I would watch that what if episode, and I think it would be funny and interesting. I love that Tom Hiddleston came back for this episode. Chris Hemsworth also came back as Thor. They're only like there for a little bit. Loki gets more, Thor gets like 2 lines. Josh Brolin also came back for this episode for Thanos. It's very stacked. This episode is really stacked. And while there are some people that didn't return, obviously Jeff Goldblum is not back as Grandmaster. That was Matt Friend doing a Jeff Goldblum impersonation. There are a lot of people, a surprising number of people. Mike Rooker is Yondu. They just all came back. And a lot of fun cameos, I'd say. Like, we get Malekith, we get Luffy. I thought that was all pretty fun. And overall, I gotta say, I was entertained, weirdly. I found this to actually be the episode where I had some of the most focus, and I actually felt like, because everything was just so out of the box, that the stakes, to me, felt the most real in this episode, which is, do with that what you will. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that felt that, and if so, that's fine. But to me, I actually thought something bad could happen here. I actually believed, you know, there's not really, it's not like we need this baby to live, even though this baby's given some sort of cosmic importance in this episode, I thought that the stakes here could be higher. Now granted, nothing does happen in the end. No one is really hurt. I mean, there is someone that died. Who died? Yondu died. So that's rest in peace, Yondu, in this reality. So at least we got a bit of that. And you know, I'm not saying for stakes that like it means everyone has to die. I just feel like there has to be like legitimate peril. And maybe I did feel there was legitimate peril because we did have a character that, you know, was killed off in the episode. So that made me feel like there might be stakes here. And also because it's, like I said, it's just so weird. I mean, we don't need Howard or Darcy or, you know, their egg to survive here. So I thought maybe something might happen. I also just love how we have an insane amount of people that want this egg. Honestly, it was giving me a little bit of the king egg that we have for the brood, kind of that vibe of like just everyone's chasing it and there's this big fight at the end. And I did feel a little bit of emotional connection, honestly, to Darcy and Howard as young new parents who just want to protect their egg, and yet everyone's coming for the egg, and in the end they kind of just accept, like, look, this might just be the end, but like we had a good run and we don't really regret any of it, even though it might end in the snow with us trying to defend our egg against like an insane amount of armies running at us. And then they sing Kiss. It's really ridiculous, but in a weird way it got me for a second. I mean, and then they went full Kiss with it and I was like, okay, now I'm no longer emotionally attached because now it's just getting silly again. But it just shows you that there is something to this episode. I think there is a level of connection that you can have with it, and I don't know if that's just because it is so ridiculous or if it's just because the voice acting in this episode is quite good, I would say. At least in terms of Seth and Kat, I would say, are really carrying the episode, in my opinion. Although, you know, Tom Hiddleston's clearly having just a ball in this episode. That's delightful to watch. But yeah, it's a weird episode. It's a weird episode. And overall, when also the egg hatches, and then we get, I don't know, some sort of celestial cherub baby coming out of this egg that, I don't know, is it supposed to be a Phoenix reference? Is it kind of giving some Adam Warlock vibes? Perfect being? I don't know. Why doesn't it doesn't, this baby also doesn't look like Howard. I guess the egg part is what Howard brought to the table. There are too many questions if I think about that too much though, so let's not talk about that dynamic of who gave what to, that's not, I don't want to think about the romance, and I don't think this episode wants us to think about it either. They just wanted to give us a goofy premise, and here's where I think this comes from. Okay, so we have the Howard the Duck movie, came out in the 80s, and in it, I always felt like Howard the Duck was this really, can I say horny? Can I say horny on YouTube? I don't think I can say that. He was a very eager duck. He really liked the ladies. And there's clearly some elements of that in the 80s film. And I feel like with Marvel Comics, we have had weird premises like this before, but it's usually at a different time period. Now in 2024, I think that's where we run into the problem, because we just feel like this is not okay because it's a duck and a lady. And yeah, I felt that too. I also was like, what the heck is happening? So I don't know if they just weren't aware of that or if they thought the shock factor would just add to the appeal of the humor. I did literally laugh out loud a few times in this episode, so it is funny, but it doesn't make it less weird, and it still feels, I think, problematic for a lot of people, and will. You know, just because something has happened before or something similar has happened before in the comics, obviously not this exact scenario, doesn't mean that it's okay now to do that. I mean, look at people's reaction as well to Rogue and Magneto and that ship, even though that, you know, appeared in X-Men 97, and even though there is context for that in the comics, a lot of people were just outraged that didn't have the context from the comics, and even some people that had that context still felt like it was messed up the way it was handled. So I'm just saying, I don't know if it's they're just not aware or they thought that that would work in their favor, but I feel like for a lot of people this is going to be a skippable episode or an episode that is going to not be well rated personally, even though I do think there are a lot of fun moments and just a lot of humor that actually shine through, despite the weirdness. But it is weird. I'll give that to you. So overall, I think I would give this one personally a 3 out of 5. Just because I had so much fun with it. I know that's probably going to be weird to people that I gave this the same rating as I gave the last episode with Winter Soldier and Red Guardian, which I think is going to be the episode so far, like I've said, that is going to be like the top episode. I don't know if it's 5 out of 5, but you know, it's at least 4 out of 5 for most people. So that might be weird to you guys, but it's just because I think it was so funny and I just really love Seth Green and Kat Dennings. So even though it's weird, and you know me, guys, if you don't know this about me, I kind of like weird stories. No one read into this, please. Don't. I'm not into Howard the Duck, if that's what you're wondering. Now, Darcy Lewis, I might be into Darcy Lewis, but Howard the Duck. Anyways, I've said too much. That's all you're getting from me on this. I'm not going to explain anymore. You watched this review. You know what I'm saying, I hope. I'll see you next time. We got more What If to go, and I don't know if it's going to get weirder. I don't know if it's going to get better, or if it's just going to kind of ride this line of meh. But I hope that, you know, we get a higher point than this, because this was not it for me. Even episode 2, I don't think has been the highest point we could achieve, so I'm hoping we get some better episodes going forward. But the next one feels like it actually has some big stakes attached to it with the what if premise, with the emergence destroying the earth, so we'll see, I guess. Alright, I'm gonna watch that so I can review it, and then, yeah, that's all for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you into this? Are you not? And, you know, if you like me talking about this stuff, I've reviewed other MCU things that were weird. I talked about Agatha All Along, which was weird in a delightful way. I talked about Secret Invasion, which was weird in a terrible, terrible way. I wish I'd never watched that show, and yet here we are. So check those out if you'd like. I'll see you next time, and until then, stay nerdy, friends. Bye!